Greetings, grinders. It's Duckie Succumbs, aka Sean Hughes. This is episode 4. I can't believe we've gotten this far of One-on-One with Duckie. And we have a special guest here today, a fellow Southern Californian, a 12-time finalist. I counted. I checked it out, Jeff. So I think if that's still right. Is that right? Do you know the number?
That's updated, man. Yeah, I make sure that's updated all the time.
Okay, cool. JeffElJefe, aka Jeff Collins, is with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, man. Pleasure to be on. Caught a couple of your other episodes, and they were awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's still a process. I'm hoping that by the end of this, when we get to around 100, I've figured it out. But so far, I'm okay with what we got.
I'm one of the guinea pigs, then.
Yeah, you guys are the early ones. So you might want to come back for a later episode in the future when I'm a little smoother at this thing. But let's have fun with it. That's the important thing. Most of your championships have come in the last few years, I would guess. It's when did you start with the tournaments?
About, let's see, the calendar year ending 2 years ago. So pretty much over the last year is when I really started attacking live finals. It was just something that I noticed as I was assessing my own play that, wow, I was doing a lot better in, and I thought that the lineups were kind of weak in comparison when it comes to, needing to finish first or last. I think that a lot of people have the wrong approach in that. So I felt like, okay, I can actually do well at this. And I really committed to trying to go after those pretty hard.
Well, I guess you've done well. I mean, 12 finals in a matter of a year is pretty impressive. I've got 1 in 3 years, and I'm lucky to get that. So it's
still impressive, man. Yeah.
I got lucky. What can I say? Right place, right time. But overall, as a player, I mean, you made a comment there about weakness in the lineups. Do you think a lot of people that enter these tournaments just go for broke and try to hit the big number right off the bat?
Well, I think that just people kind of enter those games as kind of an afterthought, whether it be chasing overlay or whatever it is, like, oh, I didn't get in the slam, so I'll enter this $25 qualifier instead. And it's like, so they're using those lineups like their normal GPP lineups to enter qualifiers. So in reality, you need a totally different strategy. I mean, I've talked to finalists that are like, how did you end up making it to the live final? And they're like, oh, I didn't even know it was for a live final. I just thought it was another tournament. Like, literally, you'll have those conversations with people. And you also see people enter the same exact lineup, trains of lineups in qualifiers. And, you think, oh, well, that, maybe every once in a while. But I mean, for a while there, when I was analyzing these lineups, pretty much every qualifier that I looked at, people were running trains, 2-3 team trains. And a lot of it was probably on accident, but either way, that's just one fewer lineup that you have to beat. Where in a normal GPP, like, that's not as big of a difference. When all you care about is first place, that it certainly adds up.
Okay. So for the most part, do you go closer to a cash game lineup then when you enter a qualifier, or are you looking just for the most unique lineup that you could place?
Unique is actually really a key word there. I think that people aren't unique enough. People think that, I hear a lot of people say, yeah, in the high dollar queues, I just use my cash game lineup, and that's worked for people. That's just not something that I do. And I think that the few times, there are going to be times where you end up with the same lineup as someone else when you do that, if you're a good cash game player, so that's usually not going to work. Obviously, you don't want to be tying for first with people in these things. And every time those sort of things happen, they just eat into your ROI. So while it may only happen 1 out of every 10 times that your cash game lineup is the same as someone else's, it's still going to really eat into your chances overall.
Well, what was the most backwards ass player or choice that you made that got you into a final?
Ooh, man. So one day, this might have even been the first final I qualified for. It was James Harden was literally like 90% owned. Not this basketball season, but the past one. It was during a stretch where he was just a must play, and they were playing the Clippers. And I'd been watching some Clipper games and noticed how they were using Chris Paul to defend some elite shooting guards. And I thought, you know what, Chris Paul might end up defending James Harden. He's going to be 90% owned. It was a short slate too, so he's going to be, really, really high owned. I'm going to fade him. I'm going to take all these other Houston Rockets and hope that they're the ones that end up with the scoring production. Hopefully, stack that game up a little bit and just hope that everyone except Harden scores. It was kind of a weird approach, and that ended up working. And I've done a couple things like that in the past year also.
Well, kids, there's a lesson there, kids. Watch the games. It actually does help in these situations. I know a lot of people just want to blindly throw in their players, but if you watch the games like Jeff here, you might have won a final at some point. So just remember that. But people don't come on here to listen to talk about DFS, so let's go off that subject right now. What were you doing before you decided to get in the DFS community?
Well, since I was probably 17, 16, 18, somewhere around there in high school, I'd been working in restaurants, and I'd gotten a pretty deep love for that whole business, wanting to open my own restaurants and that sort of thing. So I was pretty deep into that, like following Gordon Ramsay, like watching all Kitchen Nightmares and reading his books and stuff. So I was really into the whole restaurant industry. And until I was probably about 26, right before getting into the fantasy sports industry, that's what I was committed to, like opening my own restaurants and working in them.
Do you still see that as a possibility in the future, or have you just given up on that idea?
It's certainly not like a priority, but not something I'd give the nah wave to, if the opportunity presented itself in the future. It's just not something I'm really thinking about right now,
Well, what kind of restaurant would you open up if you were to open one?
It's a really good question. I think that like high-end steakhouse type stuff are what I've had a passion for. That's what I've done a lot, and just really high-quality food. I'm not a big fan of freezing stuff, and I like fresh ingredients, that sort of thing. So it would have one of those.
When somebody orders a steak, medium well or well done.
not something that I would recommend.
It bothers me personally, so I'm just asking, if you want to own a steakhouse and somebody comes up to you and says you have a cowboy ribeye and then they suddenly want it burnt, well done, will you serve that person?
Serve them, I guess. Yeah, I've had customers come into restaurants before where they'll bring the whole family, and the whole family orders steaks well done. Like the whole family, like, you're training your kids wrong, man. Like, you can't be doing that. But yeah, I mean, I guess you still kind of got to serve them, but you are not doing steak right if you're getting them well done, dude.
Well, Donald Trump, and this is true, orders his steaks well done. So
really, I thought
yes.
I thought that E. Hafner was going to have the Donald Trump show, and I was not going to have to talk about it.
He did do that. I just wanted to make that one fact. I found that out, that he not only eats pizza cutting with a fork and knife, he also orders his steaks well done.
Fair enough.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I know. We'll let it be. I'm not going to go any farther with that. I assume so. You watch Gordon Ramsay a lot. If he was in a DFS situation, if we took all the chefs in DFS and put them into a competition, would Ramsay be one of the high-end guys, or who do you think would be the elite players to own in a GPP for chefs?
That's an interesting question, man. He's my dude just because I think that he's real. You know what I mean? Like, he's not someone who's gonna fake being nice for the cameras or anything. He's just kind of got that brash, personality. And I think it's also kind of fun to think about, like when we originally started talking about, okay, what are we going to talk about during the show? We talked about the restaurants and that sort of thing. And I started thinking about, who does Gordon Ramsay remind me of in the DFS community? And you know who I thought of?
Yeah.
Jeff Mans. Jeff Mans. Isn't that a pretty decent comp for Gordon Ramsay?
I can see that comp. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Doesn't give an F.
Exactly. A little bit brash, speaks his mind, still really good at what he does. I have a lot of respect for Jeff Mans. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I met Jeff a couple times. He's an interesting fella. I mean that in a good way. I'm not saying that everybody uses that word interesting and assumes it's negative.
He would take that as a compliment. Yeah,
I'm using it as a compliment. Yeah, I think I partied with him after one of the Playboy events, if I recall. So one of the clubs in Hollywood. So
that sounds like Jeff to me.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was pretty much the usual. So, which one's your favorite tournament to go to? Just to go back to DFS, since we're talking cities, which one is your favorite tournament to go to, and which one had the best food in terms of?
That's a good question.
Or which city had the best food? Even that.
So. I think that originally, like the first time I went to the Playboy Mansion, that was kind of one that I had anticipated, Since then, I've been to 4 or 5. I went to every one last year and the first one this year. So like it starts to wear off a little bit, but that was certainly one that I very much look forward to. The problem is now they've been having all of them in Southern California, like Hollywood, and, the Playboy Mansion is in LA as well. So it's like, I'm from California, we're both from Southern California. Like that's not that exciting to me. They also have been having them in San Diego, which is cool. I love Southern California, but it was more fun when like last year's basketball tournament they did in Miami, and Miami's known for good food as well. I was a little bit let down by the food there just because it was talked up so much, but it's just cool to go to restaurants and places that you're not from at all. So I'd prefer these DFS tournaments to continue to be in kind of different cities, rotated around instead of always being in the same place.
Is there one city you'd want it to be in that you haven't been to yet?
Let's see. That's a good question. So like I've said on Twitter, and I mentioned to a bunch of people, I'm going to be trying to travel a lot over the next year and visit a bunch of cities. One city I haven't been to yet that is a really popular city is Chicago. I've never been there. Oh. And again, they have really good food, right? Have you been to Chicago?
Chicago has great food. Chicago has amazing food. Yeah. Especially if you like steak or pizza or anything like that. If it's a hardcore food, Chicago's a great place for it. Yeah. So you haven't been there yet. Yeah. So let's go into this. We talked about this before the show. You're gonna pretty much travel out of a suitcase, or at least that's the plan in the upcoming year.
That's the plan. Yeah. I mean, the way I see it is I play DFS for a living. I do some work on roto grinders. Neither of those things really need me to be in a particular place. Of course, I have restrictions now with where DFS is legal, which is really frustrating. I can't make a trip to New York per se, but I still have a lot of options, so I want to take advantage of that while I can. And I just think it would be fun this year to really go out to a bunch of different cities. Before this last year or two, with all the traveling for live finals and stuff, I hadn't done much traveling at all. So it's time to catch up, I think.
Are you going to be doing by car, or are you going to be doing it by plane? What's the plan?
I think
original idea.
Ideally, what I would do is hop on a plane. You familiar with Airbnb at all?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. So Airbnb, for people that aren't familiar with, is a website where you can basically rent people's houses or vacation homes or whatever for certain time periods. And I think like 2 to 4 weeks would be like fun time periods to live in cities for, right? Short enough term that you're not like you're not like a resident there or anything, but you're also getting a good feel for a little more feel than just your standard vacation. So I think I would fly to a city, do an Airbnb for 2 to 4 weeks, something like that, and just kind of hunker down for a little bit, and then make a home base out of either Southern California here, or I've got some family in Northern California, and kind of regroup there, fly back there, and figure out where to go from next.
So I mean, this is going to be a year-long idea if you do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think.
What would you say the odds of this actually happening are?
Before, like a few weeks ago, I would have said like 95%. Now in the last couple of weeks, maybe a little less than that. But yeah, still really good chance for sure.
Okay. I won't ask why, but
it's always about a girl, man.
It always is about a girl.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. I won't go any more. But I hope that you get to go on this trip. I do for your sake. So, a fun little fact about Jeff is that he used to be a ball boy for a certain basketball team in Northern California, and it's not the Sacramento Kings. When were you a ball boy for the Golden State Warriors?
Oh man, so this was let's see, it was early 2000s, so it was like the Antoine Jamison, Gilbert Arenas years, man.
Oh, wow.
The
So
really
like the
bad years.
craziest years you could have picked to be.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So any stories that you could share with us on being a ball boy? Let's start with how did you get the gig to be a ball boy at the arena?
Pretty much anyone who does it has to know someone that's already doing it, and that's kind of what happened. I was going to high school with a guy that was doing it, and he asked. We were actually co-captains of our high school basketball team, and he asked me if I'd be interested. I was like, of course I'd be interested. You know, how much do I have to pay you to do that? You know, and they're like, no, actually, you get a paycheck and everything, and it's an actual job, and it's a lot of fun. So that's how I got started in it.
By the way, you were captain of your basketball team. Did you play in the Roto Grinders basketball tournament?
I did not, man. No, I'm not good anymore, and I was only good.
Well, nobody was good. I was doing the announcing.
Yeah, I heard Noto was good, right?
That's
yeah. There were a couple guys that were good. I heard like Noto. I didn't go to it or participate in it, but yeah, I would be tempted to. They didn't have it this last Roto Grinders tournament. That was 2 years ago.
I don't know what they're going to do this year, especially because Nevada kind of is verboten now. So this is going to be an interesting year for the Roto Grinders party. But as I say every time, if you get a chance to go, make sure you go. It's a fun time, everybody.
Absolutely. Seriously, just to give people an idea, if you haven't been, me and like 10 or 11 guys spent all night building lineups from, I mean, it was probably 10 o'clock at night till literally kickoff. And that might not sound fun to the average person, but I imagine a lot of people listening to this are like, whoa, that sounds awesome. Because pretty much we just had a bunch of Red Bulls and just bounced ideas off of each other. And it was just a really good time.
There's also drinking and gambling and other things too. So just so
that normal.
If your idea of a fun night is not that, most of the people at the Roto Grinders party, I'd say 99%. That does fit in that category.
No doubt.
So there's a lot of people listening to the show right now. They're going, I could do that, and they're in. They're already there. So I'm just making sure we cover the entire 100%. And they had a poker tournament. I think you might have knocked me out of the poker tournament one year. It's entirely possible.
Well, the last 2 years, I made it to the final group. I call it the final group because the last 2 years, people just chopped once it got down to the last 4 or 5. And that's what happened both times. So I was in that group, no official winner or anything, but
I know you didn't knock me out this last one because I'm still haunted by how I got knocked out the last one, but I think it was the year before.
That'd be
short stacked. You might have had 7s or something.
Wow, that would be a good memory.
They lose tournaments. I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah, so you asked stories, right?
Yes. Let's go back to people want to know. So were you there for the gun? Or no, wait, that wasn't Golden State when Gilbert went nuts with the gun. I was Washington. But
Washington.
Yes, please share some good stories about the Golden State Warriors during that time.
How about multiple choice? Do you want a Gilbert story? Do you want or like me embarrassing myself story? Those are options.
Well, no offense to you, but I think we have to start with a Gilbert story. We'll have time to get to the other one, but
I think I can tell this story. Like statute of limitations, right? So everyone knows Gilbert's kind of a crazy dude. One time, I have a lot of stories like this with a lot of players, but one time Gilbert was watching the mascots, and they have like what's called a hoop team that does like trick dunks and stuff off a trampoline and everything. The Warriors used to have a mascot called Thunder back when I was the ball boy there. They're all doing dunks, and Gilbert was just hanging out with us on the side watching, kind of getting ready to do his shoot around right after. And so the hoop team and the mascot finish, and the people start to put the trampoline away, and he tells me, hey, don't let them put that away yet. And he said, make sure everyone in here is not in the arena anymore, or not in the, where the court is. So, this is way, way, way before, again, there's no people like attending the game there yet or anything.
Yeah, it's before
like
shooter last year. Yeah. So.
No teammates or anything either. His teammates aren't out yet. So yeah, we cleared the arena for him. We leave the trampoline there. So he makes us swear not to tell anyone, but I just broke that. And he's like, okay, I'm going to take dunks off the trampoline. And he did that for a good 15 minutes before practicing, but I'm pretty sure he could have got seriously fined for that.
I would think he would. And if Gilbert gives you a call, I apologize in advance. But how did you embarrass yourself?
Oh, man. I've got multiples of these. My first day there, they just gave me the most simple job possible. They're like, okay, the players are going to shoot to warm up. All you need to do is pass the ball back to them when they miss. And I was like, okay, I can't screw this up. I was totally nervous. I'm in high school surrounded by guys I idolize, and the Warriors' best player, Antoine Jamison, at the time, is taking some shots, and like, go for it, man. That's you. So I'm rebounding for Antoine Jamison, and there's other players shooting and stuff, and other ball boys rebounding for other players. And so everything's going fine for a little while, and all of a sudden, it went really poorly. So Antoine misses a ball. It kind of goes off to the side a little bit. So I had to track it down, grab it, go to pass it back to him. Problem was someone else had already started to pass him another ball. So he was catching that one, and my ball hit him straight in the face.
Oh.
And he just gave me like a stank eye for a while. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, yeah. What are you, new? I was new, but
it was first day. I mean,
not a good way to start the day for sure.
Are there any player? Who's the player you most connected with, though? You'd say during that time.
There was a center named Mark Jackson. I believe he had like an Italian background because he
Temple. Did he go to Temple?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not Mark Jackson, the coach, former point guard for Indiana, former coach of the Warriors, but he was actually a center, and he used to give us all nicknames and stuff. And he nicknamed us all pasta nicknames. It'd be like, hey, spaghetti, or everyone had a different pasta nickname. So he was just really cool because he was like down to earth and like would talk to you and stuff. Every once in a while, you would meet a player who would like ask you questions, which is like, when you're in high school, that's just the coolest thing ever. If an NBA player is asking if you play basketball and those sort of things. And, so there were some guys that were like that. For the most part, though, you kind of just were there, guys.
Who was the most standoffish then, pretty much, out of all of them?
Oh, man.
Bring the dirt.
I remember there were some weird things I remember. I don't remember anyone being like specifically mean, really. I think it was Steve Nash that just smelled like straight. He doused himself in cologne. I'm pretty sure that was Steve Nash. Guys had weird quirks. To like some guys would wrap their wallets in duct tape before like going out to the court, because like, they didn't trust anyone, I guess, but. Like some really weird quirks and stuff like that. But I don't know. No one stuck out as like, this guy is a real jerk. At least, not that I can remember 12 years later.
You avoided Kobe, I guess that is the whole point. So
I guess
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Everybody knows I'm a Kobe hater. I'm not gonna do that. I'm kidding. But would you say basketball is your best sport, by the way?
In DFS?
Yeah.
I thought so. ROI would dictate that other sports might be, but I definitely feel like I have the biggest edge in basketball, and that I understand it the most on different levels. I used to coach as well. I've been a ball boy. I played it. I watch it. Like how many more angles can you have to the game? So I feel like that's my best sport, but at the same time, the sport that I thought was going to be my worst last year, baseball, ended up being my highest ROI. So it's hard to say, maybe sample sizes over time, over the next 3-4 years, I find out that, yeah, basketball actually is the sport I have the best ROI. But
by the way, speaking of baseball, Kershaw's not throwing a no-hitter anymore. It's the 5th. It's a one-hitter. Just thought
oh my goodness,
I dropped that in there. So
with like
only a
13
one-hitter.
strikeouts. Yeah, 13 strikeouts, something like that, probably. Yeah.
Let's see, just quickly. Only 5 strikeouts in 4 innings.
All right.
The Padres. Wow,
Right.
I expected more.
Huh.
So, oh well. Okay, well, I think we're good tonight. I think this has been a good, solid interview. I didn't go 58 minutes tonight, so I think before I start boring people with my drone, I'm going to cut here. I will say I'm predicting Villanova beating North Carolina tonight. You want to take a prediction?
Well, I'm in the Roto Grinders bracket. I need North Carolina to win the whole bracket. So I hope you're
you
wrong.
win the bracket if North Carolina wins?
Yeah, I'll finish second if they don't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For Jeff's sake, North
You're
Carolina
changing your
to win.
prediction? Okay.
It's my. When are my predictions right? I don't think you have to worry about it. So
Okay, good. All right. Good.
I'm not the person that you have to go, oh, God, Duckie said that they're going to win. No, you're okay.
Hedge. Duckie says they're going to win. Hedge.
I know. Yeah. It's not one of those situations you're going to have to go put half on Villanova right now to cover yourself. I think you're safe. But all right. Well, no, this is a good show. Thank you for coming on. We'll bring you back on. Sure, why not? This is anybody that comes in on the first episodes when I'm still learning this process will always be a friend to the show. So
good.
You get VIP treatment. It's like fine restaurant. You get to sit in the cigar room, the cigar and crevassier room when you come in. So
I'm all about that, man.
Classy. So,
Nice.
But all right, Jeff. Well, thanks everybody. We'll be doing this next week. I think next week it's Dean. We're bringing the Night Sweats host together, and I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'm sure it'll be something pop culture related. He's upset that I didn't like the last episode of Walking Dead, so maybe he'll bring that up. But we'll go from there. All right,
man. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, dude.
All right, thanks, man, and talk to you next week, Grinders.